The Premier's sense of hope for the future feels shattered tonight. A dramatic jump in COVID cases has prompted even tougher restrictions in Sydney's hotspots. The Defence Force is being drafted in, and Gladys Berejiklian is making a call to arms for all Sydney-siders to get vaccinated. There have been 2 more deaths, a woman in her 90s and a man in his 80s. Another 239 people have the virus. Only 81 were in isolation while infectious. The official messages today were blunt and bleak. The case numbers are likely to get worse and more people will die because of low vaccination rates. We have reporters across Sydney tonight. First to Kathleen Calderwood at Roselands in the southwest. Kathleen, the bad news just keeps on coming. How are people there feeling?
Well, Jeremy, after more than a month in lockdown, they're feeling frustrated and exhausted. Many are anxious about catching COVID, and then there's, of course, the financial stress. Life is about to get a lot tougher for more than 2 million Sydney-siders here in these hotspots, but most people are determined to do the right thing so we can get through this. And that includes coming to places like this to get tested.
A bright spot on a dark day. It's a record Sydney and the state can be proud of, more than 110,000 tests.
Regrettably, we also had quite a large increase in the number of cases overnight.
239. The curve is getting steeper. And as contact tracers are swamped, the number of mystery cases is also skyrocketing.
We can only assume that things are likely to get worse before they get better, given the quantum of people infectious in the community.
So the rules will be getting even stricter. In the 8 council areas of concern, masks will be mandatory everywhere except home. That includes outdoors.
Well, you have to do what you have to do, to keep safe and keep the community safe. We have to stick to the rules.
Yeah, it's good, I think so. Yeah, everyone have to wear mask.
If you live in one of the hotspots, you'll also be spending more time closer to home. A 5-kilometre limit for shopping and exercise will be enforced.
We have harsher restrictions in place than any other state has ever had.
Some are struggling to keep up with all the changes. Kim Bong says she's still explaining the basics to customers.
When I tell them that, you need to distance 1.5 metre, or only 3 people can get into my shop, and they still get upset with me. So it means that they still not update the rule yet, because maybe the problem is they can't speak English.
Those caught doing the wrong thing will cop bigger fines, and police are calling on the Defence Force for help.
It only takes a very small number of people to do the wrong thing to cause ripple effects.
And they can be deadly. 13 people have already lost their lives in this outbreak.
At this level of cases, we are going to continue to see further deaths.
The Premier's call to arms has never been more pressing.
Let's think about a period of time when potentially we live more free than any other state because our vaccination rates are higher.
But first, there are many more dark days ahead. Kathleen Calderwood, ABC News at Sydney.
Let's go to state political reporter Ashley Raper. Ashley, the Premier's insistence that the COVID rules will work just doesn't seem to match the day-to-day reality.
There is no denying that the situation is dire, Jeremy. The Premier has previously spoken about green shoots or an outlook of hope. There was none of that today. And one question that really wasn't answered was, how has the city recorded its highest ever number of cases when we've been in hard lockdown? It seems it comes down to compliance. The Premier says the small number of people who aren't doing the right thing is having a huge impact. The messaging in these circumstances is undoubtedly difficult because the Premier needs to bring comfort to people. She also needs to bring people along with her during this lockdown. But the rules will only work if people follow them. And now law enforcement has been dramatically stepped up today.
So Ashley, as we're told, we need to brace for things to get worse. Is there a plan B?
The government is giving no indication that there is a plan B. It maintains that because of the number of cases infectious in the community and with low vaccination rates, the only option is to get to zero or close to zero community transmissions for this lockdown to end. But Jeremy, the Premier did leave the door open for the possibility that she may introduce harsher restrictions if this situation doesn't change.
Ashley Raper reporting. The harsher restrictions come with unprecedented powers for police to shut down businesses. Crime reporter Mark Reddy is live for us tonight. Mark, the Defence Force has now been called in.
That's right, Jeremy. Earlier today, the Police Commissioner said he would call on the military if the force was too stretched. And tonight, the federal government has approved his request for 300 troops to help with this COVID compliance operation. It's a sign of just how urgent this crisis has become. New cases are on the rise, the fines are going up, and so now expect thousands of extra police armed with extra powers.
It is certainly not something that we want to do, and it is in fact something that we cannot wait to shred.
Assam Alamar runs this cafe in Western Sydney and is doing the right thing. For businesses that don't, police can now shut them down without warning.
It's hard on a business as it is. To shut them down completely, it's even harder.
And so a suggested alternative.
It needs to be done in an educational way to give them a warning and to let them know that the next action, if you do that, then it could lead to shutdown.
But if that happens...
What recourse or what is the avenue for a business that then gets shut down because of this non-compliance?
A question too for construction sites or public areas deemed a health risk.
These orders will focus on those who continue to breach the health orders, who continue to keep us in lockdown. We want to be out of lockdown quicker.
Given household transmission of the virus is still alarming, officers will be door-knocking residents who are supposed to be self-isolating.
Sure, the police can be out, they can be out and about and making sure that the right thing gets done, but how they act and how they interact with people, I think it's important.
The fine for not wearing a mask has also increased from $200 to $500.
Fine, but let it be $1,000, doesn't matter. Got to start somewhere, make it hard.
Everybody has to comply with the rules, but the 500 might be a little bit over for many people, to be honest.
The phones at Crime Stoppers are continuing to ring hot, with information helping the investigation into last weekend's illegal anti-lockdown protest. Almost 60 people have been charged, and that number is likely to grow. For that to happen, police need the public's help to find these 4 men. They're accused of throwing pot plants at officers on horseback outside Town Hall. Mark Reddy, ABC News, Sydney.
The COVID crisis is taking its toll on Sydney's hospitals. Some non-urgent elective surgeries are now suspended indefinitely. Authorities say the fastest way to take the pressure off the health system is for everyone to get vaccinated.
Thumbs up to bringing COVID down. This pharmacy's dishing out 100 jabs a day.
It's non-stop. It's like, I think we may need a hub here, a vaccination hub in the area, because we're not keeping up with it.
It's mostly catering to over 60s in a very diverse community.
If we can explain it to them in our language, and we have built up a trust between them and the pharmacists.
But on the ground, efforts aren't completely cutting through. A quarter of people over 70 still haven't had one dose.
At this level of cases, we are going to continue to see further deaths.
13 people have died so far in this outbreak. 11 of them were over 70. Of the 54 people currently in intensive care, 37 of them are over the age of 50. Nearly all of those in ICU are unvaccinated.
I don't think you need more evidence that vaccines will save lives and COVID will kill.
There's also concern some GPs are cashing in, asking people to cough up for a COVID jab consult.
Please know the vaccine is accessible and free. Anyone who's asking you to pay is not doing the right thing.
Those heeding the call in Sydney's West say it was a straightforward call.
It's rife at the moment, so I thought it's very important to come out and get vaccinated.
I'm really tired of hearing the same bad news on TV every day, and I just thought if this is what it's going to take, then why not?
While there's still some confusion around vaccines, the immediate fear of the virus is proving to be a strong incentive. This pharmacy in Cabramatta will soon run out of AstraZeneca, and it's called for an emergency supply. Redirected supplies of Pfizer will be given out at a separate mass hub for Year 12 students at Kudos Bank Arena. The pressure is beginning to bite at hospitals. Several ambulances were delayed last night at Concord. A number of hospitals across Sydney are now delaying non-urgent elective surgeries. Tim Swanston, ABC News, Sydney.